Hey, I'm Jesse. Let's have a devotion. It's a devotion about slaying giants, defeating armies with iron chariots, accepting, receiving, claiming the full extent of what God had promised to his people, or just failing to do so. Quick word of context. All the way back in Numbers and Deuteronomy, we've seen these legends. The Emim, a great and numerous people, as tall as the Anakim, had previously lived there. Right? The Anakites, the descendants of Anak, had this reputation for just being massive. And in fact, according to Numbers 13, verse 33, it's because they're attributed to the Nephilim. We even saw the Nephilim there, the descendants of Anak that come from the Nephilim. To ourselves, we seemed like grasshoppers, and we must have seemed the same to them. There's this story around the descendants of Anak that they come from the Nephilim, these demons that left their proper place, and then the result is these evil champions of men that help just propagate the terrible sinful practices that would literally precipitate the flood of God on the earth. Right? Deuteronomy 9:2. The people are strong and tall, the descendants of the Anakim. You know about them, and you've heard it said about them. Who can stand up to the sons of Anak? All right, so from Deuteronomy and Numbers, as a word of context, you've got this reputation around some of the giants that the people of God have to take on as they now claim the promised land. All right, here's one more flashback before we get back to the book of Judges. I just want you to remember this because this is what was forgotten. Okay, that's much of what the book of Judges is. Forgetting what God called people to do. Forgetting what God promised. Here's Joshua 11:4-9. They went out with all their armies, a multitude as numerous as the sand on the seashore, along with a vast number of horses and chariots. All these kings joined forces. They came and camped together at the waters of Merom to attack Israel. The Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid of them, for at this time tomorrow I will cause all of them to be killed before Israel. You are to hamstring their horses and burn their chariots." So Joshua and all his troops surprised them at the waters of Merom and attacked them. The Lord handed them over to Israel, and they struck them down, pursuing them as far as greater Sidon, Misrephoth, Maim, and to the east as far as the valley of Mizpah. They struck them down, leaving no survivors. Joshua treated them as the Lord had told him. He hamstrung their horses and burned their chariots. All right, that's Joshua 11:4-9. Here's Judges 1:16-20. The descendants of the Kenite, Moses' father-in-law, had gone up with the men of Judah from the city of palms to the wilderness of Judah, which was in the Negev of Arad. They went to live among the people. All right, now, since Jericho had been destroyed in this miraculous siege, this city of palms was probably situated among the oases on the outskirts of the city of Jericho. Judah went with his brother Simeon, struck the Canaanites who were living in Zephath, and completely destroyed the town, so they named the town Hormah. Judah captured Gaza and its territory, Ashkelon and its territory, and Ekron and its territory. All right, so far, so good. All right, they've also taken Jerusalem, but I think that based on the chronology of the book of Judges, they also lose it at some point. The Lord was with Judah and enabled them to take possession of the hill country, but they could not drive out the people who were living in the plain because those people had iron chariots. Now, you'll notice that the name Judah is used here, and it's not referring to the dude named Judah. It's referring to the people of the tribe of Judah. Hence, the use of the plural form, the Lord was with Judah and enabled them. Right? That's why when it says Judah went with Simeon, don't picture two dudes, two brothers, going out to war. This is the tribe of Judah leading the way and the tribe of Simeon coming alongside them. But they could not drive out the people who were living on the plain because those people had iron chariots. They had encountered this before. They burned the wood of those chariots. They hamstrung the horses that pulled them. In Joshua chapter 11, there's this massive conquest, and the Lord gave them over. Judah gave Hebron to Caleb, just as Moses had promised. Then Caleb drove out the three sons of Anak who lived there. All right, so we've seen this account before. It's from Joshua chapter 15. It's in Judges chapter 1. And then here it is. Caleb had he laid claim to the promised land, the allocation that was given to him, and he had to fight giants to do it. But these guys can't seem to drive out people that they'd been able to drive out before. Right? Here's what they did with those chariots before. Here's what they did to those horses under Joshua's leadership. And now they're not laying full claim to everything that God had called them to. Man, don't ever underestimate what God's able to do. Don't ever underestimate what God can do. For example, in the context of evangelism in your workplace, don't put a limit on what God can do, because if you do that, that might be the limit God abides by. All right, you go out, you take on the giants in an evangelistic sense. Man, I've seen it. I've seen the least likely people in the world saved. In the context of our church plant, Redemption Church, don't put God in a box. Don't tell me what God can't do here. All right? Don't limit your expectation of what you think God is capable of in our setting. Don't ever limit what you expect God can do. Step out in faith. Answer the call and lay claim to what he's called you to do. Because the limits that you place on what you expect God to do might be the limits by which the Holy Spirit respectfully abides to your loss and to the loss of the people of Israel, as we have some of our first failures in the opening of the book of Judges. Unfortunately, there are more to come. May there be none in your personal walk with Christ.